Okay, folks, so I know it's been a little while since I've done this automatic watering system, if I've done any updates on it, and frankly that's because I haven't done anything with it. I was trying to put together a little series, walking through the steps of how I was designing everything and planning everything, and finally got back to doing some work. So let me show you what I'm doing here, where I left y'all off last time, I believe, and if not, I'll just cover it again real quick, but I had run hardline PVC to each individual bed, and then I'm crossing it over to this flex pipe. I believe I did make an update on that because I had a fail where it was on that bed over there, but on right here, one of these compression fittings blew apart and I about emptied my tanks without knowing it. Anyway, so as you can see over time what's happened to this black pipe with the heat, it's just swells and gets loose and floppy and it's kind of falls all over the place and I can't contain it. And I'm having problems with, having any accurate watering with it because as it warps and twists and moves, my little sprinkler heads are all knocked funny and everything else. So what I've done now, what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to test it on the first bed before I go full scale with it like I've done with every other thing. But I'm swapping over to PVC. And then I've actually gone down and every couple of feet I've drilled a tiny hole here and I've actually tapped the hole with a 1032 thread. Now the reason I've done the 1032 thread is because the sprinkler heads that I have here from Drip Depot, I believe it's from Drip Depot, these sprinkler heads actually have a 1032 thread on them. Now the mistake that I made, I'm just going to show you these threads here, and the camera's probably not going to zoom on it. Let me see. Try there, but and it's still focusing on the pipe. Anyway, it has a 1032 thread. Now the mistake that I made was I assumed, first off, that the other sprinkler heads that I was buying from Lowe's, the other little Mr. heads, I'm distracted because I couldn't get that started. The other little Mr. heads that I was buying, I assumed they were 1032 thread as well because I'd seen 1032 thread advertised on these from Rain Drip, or Drip Depot. But they're not. I'll show you one of those that's already threaded out. Over here, they're a much steeper pitch. Now y'all probably couldn't tell the difference on this video, but they're real steep pitch on that thread. And they're not actually a 1032 thread. They're some sort of off-the-wall, I don't even know what size they are, but they're not designed to be threaded into PVC pipe. They're designed to be threaded into that 1/4 inch black vinyl tubing. So that's why they're that weird steeper angle with a longer nipple on them. But anyway, so I've drilled all the holes here, like this one, and I've actually tapped it with a 1032 thread. So the idea being I can thread in the different Drip Depot sprayer heads that I've got, and then if I don't want that hole, if I decide to mix up how my plants are being watered or whatever, I can just put in a simple 1032 screw, which I bought a few of those screws at Lowe's today. So it gives me the option to plug off holes that I don't need without having to worry about some sort of fancy PVC patch or having to cut and splice and change stuff around. I do think I'll paint the PVC. I don't think this stuff is UV stabilized like conduit is, so I probably will paint it just some sort of exterior latex paint. Plus, to make it look nice if I just make it sort of a beige paint or something instead of this, industrial white sort of color. But that's kind of my plan going forward. I'm actually waiting right now. I just hooked up my sprinkler timer. Oh shoot, that reminds me. I'm sitting here waiting on my sprinkler timer and I don't have the water turned on even. So it's supposed to start in 6 minutes. So what I've done for right now for a temporary test, I had all the pump and everything hooked up proper so it worked, and I'm sorry if I make you guys seasick here. I had all the pump and everything hooked up so that it can operate off the pump, and no sooner than I did that, it actually, it blew apart that fitting where I showed y'all in that last video. But it also, I blew a pinhole leak, and I'll show you that because I'm going to go ahead and look at it. So anyway, with those two failures, I didn't want to be running it off the tanks without control, without being able to watch it. So I've just hooked this up temporary. I've just run a garden hose out here, and I hooked in the garden hose where the pump would normally hook in. And you can see here I've got see it's leaking right there at that fitting. It actually didn't blow a pinhole in the elbow like I thought. It's just, there it is. Okay, see, look, it's a crack actually. I just now noticed that whole fitting is cracked. So I've got a crack there. It's probably going to blow apart and get me soaked when I'm not paying attention one day. And then I'm also leaking up here at that PVC fitting, I'm leaking at that fitting, I'm leaking at that fitting. So pretty much the whole damn thing's falling apart actually. And I'm guessing that has to do with too much time of having sat here and not run. So we'll see if maybe, yeah, I don't think those things are going to fix themselves. I was lazy when I put this together. I didn't prime all those like I should have. I just glued them. And now you can see that's what happens when you cut corners. But that's not the point of the video. I'm going to let it leak here for another 5 minutes while I wait for this thing to kick on. But I'll get all that rebuilt and reprimed. That'll probably take me another 6 months. But just want to show you this. This is where I'm at for now. So what I'm doing is I'm going to let that thing kick on, make sure everything still works. So it's not going to be running off the pump. It's just going to be running off city water pressure, which probably means I should have put a pressure regulator in line, and I didn't, so I'll probably blow some stuff apart. Go figure. The PVC glue is probably not set up right because I got excited. I just glued this up 30 minutes ago, but we'll see. It might be enough to get a flow test, but what I'm wanting to do right now is just test it, and I want to kind of flush all these little holes, so when that water kicks on, it should just shoot little geysers out of every single one of these holes, and just kind of make me feel good, make me feel like I'm doing something, because these raised beds down here in the heat, I mean, I have to water them almost daily. They dry out so bad. I mean, these have been watered here a little while back, but I mean, it's like you're just digging in sand. There's no moisture in here at all. There's a little rotten potato, but there's just no moisture. So I have to get this hooked up. I've been spending so much time with beekeeping stuff that I've been failing to maintain the garden, unfortunately. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at for now. I'm gonna test run this one, try to get all these leaks figured out, the kinks taken out. Something I did get, and I encourage you guys, if you're working on a lot of PVC, a little tool you can buy. It's a fitting saver, because see the way I've got all this stuff glued together now, when I go to fix all that, I'd have to do some real extensive cutting and re-gluing of all these fittings and pieces. But the fitting saver tool that I got, it's got in the toolbox and shed, I'm not going to show it to you, but it's designed so you can actually mill out a PVC fitting like this. So you cut it right there at the joint, which is like a bandsaw or something, and then you can actually drill out the old scrap of PVC on the inside and then break it out, because that PVC glue actually gets brittle over time. So you can drill it and then just break out the PVC scraps, and you can reuse these fittings. So it's not all that important if you have plenty of space and time to work and move stuff around, but when you're working in tight space like this and I want to keep all my fittings the way they are, it becomes very important. So anyway, just want to show this to you guys for right now. That's where I'm at, but we'll let you know the time. Alright, here's the big moment. It's 5:29 by this clock. It's supposed to start at 5:30. So bear with me just a second, and we'll see. Still leaking like crazy down there, building up a puddle pretty quick. I still have some issues with this thing that I'm not sure of. I feel like when it kicks on, it tries to open all the valves in cycle, but I've got it programmed right now that it should not do that. It should only open valve number 4. See, it's trying to run station 2 right now, which is this valve here. It's going to want to run station 2 for 5 minutes. Then it's going to run station 3 for 5 minutes. And it's going to run station 4 for 5 minutes. And I don't want it to do that. I want it to just run station 4 for 5 minutes. And I can't figure this thing out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch it over to manual. Manual all. So it's going to run all cycles, all valves. Or it should. Waiting, watching. Not seeing any water. Manual, manual. Oh, this is embarrassing. Station, all. No, manual. There's station 4. Okay, I don't know what I just did there, but I got it to open station 4. So now let's walk over here and see what we got going on. There we go. We got little geysers running. Yay! So right now it's just blowing the air out of the lines right now. Trying to get all the bugs worked out. But yeah. So we'll let it run like this to flush everything out real good for a little bit until the water kicks off on its own. And then we'll go through and put our sprinkler head in. So here's just a manual on test of the system. I've got, I don't know how good y'all can see with the lighting or not, but I've got them all up and running. You can see over here on the on the far side there, you can see the screws there to the left of that sprayer. Put in a couple screws right in, just right in here. There's a couple of screws I put in to block off holes. There's that old sprayer still stuck in there. I'm going to take that one out and put a screw in its place too, that little pink one. But I've already, found out these sprayers here, they're supposed to be adjustable, which they are, but they're not very adjustable. They're, this one here, it's overspraying by about 2 feet. And if I try to tweak it down, it just like shuts off. So it's not very easy to get them, zoomed in, but I've got them a lot closer. This is still a lot better than running some big just broadcast sprinkler, so I'm happy with this. The other thing is I've noticed they spray up quite a bit. So, I was thinking they'd spray, flat out, but I don't know if you can see with that angle, but it's actually coming up like this. It's coming up quite a steep angle, which is fine. It'll kind of give the effect of overhead watering, which is not what I wanted, but it'll be okay because it'll help get over some short plants up front too. So, anyway, just looking down the line here, it looks like they're all doing their job. Oh, just kidding. My manual timer just shut off. So, they were doing their job, so I'm going to go turn it back on and make it run for a while. And maybe think about doing something about all those leaks I got over there.